Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. I've been expecting you. Welcome to Points After Thursday right here on Fantasy Sports Advice Network. I am Biggs. He is Grindberg. We are the host of the Fantasy Forecast and the Dynasty Pulse right here on this channel. And we will be kicking it with you, chopping it up just for a little bit, talking about this Thursday night Washington Commanders Green Bay Packers tilt and what it means for the rest of the season, as well as taking your starts and sits questions. And how you feeling, Grindberg?
Well, I would have been feeling a lot better if some of my Jaden Daniels shares were a little bit more fruitful tonight. But I mean, that's how it goes when you're up against a crazy tight Green Bay Packers defense. It's they played their hearts out, and yeah, they look like a force in the NFC. How you're thinking about these Green Bay Packers there, Biggs?
I mean, to be fair, he was only outscored by Jordan Love by like 1.18 points. So it's not like, he's 20 points out of your quarterback. That's fine. And if you consider that a down game for Jaden Daniels, that just means more is coming. Hey, not all that bad. What was the question you asked me?
I don't have any questions. I'm just asking how you doing, buddy. It's Thursday night, and we're headed into a busy week two. And with week two comes a lot of great matchups this weekend. And what game are you most looking forward to, cracking down on and watching this weekend?
It's not this weekend. It's next Monday, Raiders and Chargers. But I wanted to recap this game a little bit.
Do it.
Like I do on Thursday nights. So Washington loses 18-27, 27 points by the Green Bay Packers. Jaden Daniels 24 of 42 passing for 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He was sacked 4 times. Interestingly, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, Austin Eckler, and Jaden Daniels all had the same amount of rushing yards, 17 each. Bill Krosky-Merritt on 4 carries, Eckler on 8, and Jaden Daniels on 7. As we saw, Austin Eckler left the game with an apparent Achilles injury. If Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt is available on your waiver wire, you go pick him up now. In the receiving game, Terry McLaurin led the Washington receiving corps with 9 targets, 5 catches. 48 yards, no touchdowns. That's a sit day in my estimation. Zach Ertz, 8 targets, 6 catches, 64 yards, 1 touchdown. Debo got in the end zone, 8 targets, 7 catches, 44 yards, and a TD. Luke McCaffrey had 1 catch, 19 yards on 1 target. Noah Brown was targeted 4 times, 1 catch for 9 yards. Ben Sinnott, 1 catch for 7 yards on 1 target. Austin Eckler, 4 targets, 2 for 7. Jalen Lane, 4 targets, 1 for 2. And Bill Krosky-Merritt, 1 target, no catch. On the Green Bay side of things, it was Tucker Kraft Day, if you celebrate. Jordan Love, 19 of 31, 292 yards, 2 touchdowns. Josh Jacobs, 23 carries, 84 rushing yards, a touchdown against a pretty stout Commanders defense, so forgive him the 3.7 yard average, and he got into the end zone. Savion Williams, TCU rookie, 2 carries for 24 yards. That's pretty good. Matthew Golden, 2 carries for 15 yards. Jordan Love, 3 carries for 12 yards. Tucker Kraft, aforementioned, 7 targets, 6 catches, 124 yards, 1 touchdown. Dontavian Wicks, 6 targets, 4 catches. That's a good day for him. Malik Heath, 1 catch for 37 yards on 1 target. Luke Musgrave, 2 catches for 32 yards on 2 targets. Romeo Doubs, 3 catches for 28 yards, 1 touchdown on 5 targets. Chris Brooks, 4 targets, 3 catches, 27 yards. And Matthew Golden was shut out on 2 targets. So Green Bay looks good. We shan't say they are the Super Bowl favorites at this point because it's week 2. There's still a lot, and it's the first game of week 2. So there's a lot of football left to be played. But they look good, especially against a playoff team from 2024 and the Washington Commanders. They were able to move the ball against a good Commanders defense, and the Commanders got pretty much shut down by the Packers' innovative zone defense.
Correct. And hopefully we will see a little bit more of, some Commander sightings in the future here. Obviously, they had a couple tough matchups to start the year, and Tucker Kraft coming off the board here as the main target here in this Green Bay offense after a muddled week one. Still pretty muddled, wide receiver room here. There was always that opportunity for Tucker Kraft to come out and emerge as one of those top wide receivers, right? And, as a tight end, that's all you can hope for in your tight end position is being the top target in an offense, and it definitely came out fruitful tonight. 6 for 126 and a touchdown. What was your biggest take out of the tight ends tonight? I mean, both of them, him and Zach Ertz were leading both receiving rooms. So what's your take here on both those guys?
Well, if there's any singular platform that has been in consensus on Tucker Kraft, it is Fantasy Football Advice Network. We've had across the summer, there were shows where you showcased him, I showcased him, Schultze showcased him, even Chev showcased him. So if you are watching us, you are already on top of Tucker Kraft. Joe Frick, what's up, you deviants, has also been high on Tucker Kraft. And then Albert Mariquin, good eye, champion, from down under. So, yeah, I mean, it's hard to count on any Green Bay wide receivers. They either disappear or they get hurt, but Tucker Kraft remains the steady. Not a lot of pushback by Ben Sinnott on Zach Ertz standing, and you just have to, wait for bigger shootout games, lesser defenses. Although if I'm a defensive coordinator, I'm kind of mirroring what the Packers did tonight to Jaden Daniels, because it looks like that's a pretty good blueprint for how to shut the Commanders down.
Yeah. And on the other quarterbacking side there, you got Jordan Love coming out with a pretty decent game, 19 for 31. Like you mentioned, 220, 292 and 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, only took 1 sack and had 1 rush, actually 3 rushes for 12 yards. So decent performance in a game where many thought that, could have been a little bit more of a high scoring game, but I think that maybe Green Bay's defense for the time being is looking pretty formidable, and maybe they're going to have to reassess, some of their high-end shootout type performances. They already had a game against the Lions, which could have been a shootout, and they maintained them. Another high-flying offense, and the Commanders, not sure the NFC has much more to offer them as far as firepower goes, as far as high-octane offenses go. So, what's your take on Green Bay's defense and how that cascades down to Jordan Love and his potential upside? Because it doesn't look like they're going to be in for many shootouts this year.
Remember, they haven't gotten into divisional play yet. Once they start facing off against the Minnesota Vikings and the Detroit Lions, we might be singing another tune. Tonight's game kind of reminded me of the Raiders Patriots last weekend, where I kind of anticipated big point totals from both sides, and that didn't come. It was 20-13 Raiders on top. Really, where it came out was Pittsburgh versus the Jets, and Baltimore versus Buffalo. And if you told me that two defenses like Buffalo and Baltimore were going to engage in a shootout, I'd have said you were crazy, except that Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's fair. But I mean, the Packers already have faced, the Lions and now the Commanders. So those are, I mean, they have to go against the Vikings, but they have one of those games at home, probably in colder weather where, the run game is going to be a little bit more prolific. So I can't see them being in, games where they're going to need to score more than 30 points in order to win when you got a defensive front like they do. Micah Parsons, now that new addition, like you mentioned, anytime he's a player in a game, especially when you date back to when he was the Cowboy, they were a number 1 defense, if I'm not mistaken, right, bigz?
It was something like that. It was EPA per play expected they were either second overall over the course of 4 years when Micah was on the field, and last, or it was best and second to last. And now he's on the Packers. So expect similar numbers from the Packers defense this year. And essentially, they're the best defense in the NFL when he's on the field.
All right, so couple large lines here this weekend. Looking at the Jaguars and Bengals as a potential shootout. I'm looking at this as a pivotal game for Trevor Lawrence. Didn't look sharp last week, in my opinion, in that offense. There's a lot of opportunity here this week against a weak Bengals defense and a potential shootout. I'm looking for Trevor Lawrence to really show what he has to offer. Maybe remnants of his 2022 season when he ended up finishing as a top 10 quarterback. Everybody's has such high hopes on him, especially with the addition of Travis Hunter in the wide receiver group. Second year wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr. came off an incredible rookie season, and then you got to think of the run game here that just is starting to really gain some steam. We know what happens in a Liam Cohen offense. Travis Etienne came off as a monster game, and maybe that's why Trevor Lawrence didn't need to sustain that kind of offense. But what's your take on Trevor? And are you cautiously optimistic about him in 2025, or are you pushing the chips on?
Well, since draft season's over and we're taking it week by week, I'm very high on him this week. I think he's going to score quite a lot of points against Cincinnati. For the long haul, yeah, I mean, the kid was number one draft pick. He was, as a freshman, won a national championship and was basically a shoo-in for this is the best quarterback prospect in college football for the next 3 years. And so he has been in a rough organization, but everything comes out in the wash. So I see better times ahead for Trevor. Pareko has a start and sit question on the defensive special team side. Start Pats, Cardinals, or Cowboys defense this week. Cowboys are going up against the New York Giants. Cardinals are facing the Carolina Panthers, and the Pats are facing Miami. That's a good problem to have.
No kidding. Yeah.
But I'm rolling with the Cowboys defense in this one.
You're going with the Cowboys, and with them not so much of a Micah Parsons situation. I think, I'm not a really big Russell Wilson fan, but I have a hard time passing up the Cardinals matchup as well here, Biggs. I don't know. It's against the Panthers. Bryce Young, 50% completion percentage. Looks like he's been seeing ducks. So I guess it's a coin flip. I'm going to go with the Cardinals.
Biggs is going to go with the. I meant the Cardinals.
Oh, okay.
I just looked at the wrong thing.
So we're both on the Cardinals up against the Panthers there, Parenko. Now we got a couple more questions up in the chat. What's up, Andre? Welcome in. And then we got to hit up Millie Mills as first one here. He's always a great contributor to our show. So I got one pick on my waivers this week. League mate just dropped Kraft this morning for Jawan Johnson's. I told him, thanks, bro. I love it. That's a great one there. Millie Mills, I love it.
Yeah.
Blessed. No kidding. Okay, let's how you guys feel about T-Mac rest of season? Are you keeping or selling?
Absolutely keeping.
Yeah, absolutely too. I think that, even though we're not so high on Bryce Young, he's going to be hyper targeted, and I just think that, he's got the contested catch ability, and he could play all over the field. I love Ted, and I'm still really high on him. Even in a down game, in a tough matchup, he still had 6 catches, I think, Biggs, over 60 yards. I think he had 9 targets or something around that range. So, yeah,
and we're really his first professional game. So, yeah, Bryce Young might be in the 50 to 60% completion range, which means that McMillan is going to need 10 to 12 targets a game. But I totally see that happening, especially if they're behind a lot, and he's got to chuck it. So I do like Tet.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, thanks for the question there, Andre. Now let's get into Eric's question. Fannin or Ingram, full PPR. Ingram is active, I believe. It's pretty hard to ignore what Fannin did and how the Browns actually designed him into their game plan. And I know that, you know, it was a great matchup against the Bengals, but I also think this is a really good matchup with a high scoring opportunity against the Ravens. I do think that, you know, Njoku is going to ascend here as well. Who does Ingram up against here, Biggs? What is your thoughts on Ingram headed into this week?
Denver's playing Indy. Their pass defense isn't too bad. We just don't know what the Evan Ingram role is going to be. Is he going to be getting the 12 to 15 targets that he required in Jacksonville? I say go for broke, roll the dice in a bad game script, roll with Fannin.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I was alluding to that. I think that, you know, Fannin is a guy that they're going to continue to scheme into what they have. I mean, they drafted him, and you know, Biggs, his family was at the expo there, and we got to meet them. So shout out to Harold Fannin Jr.'s family, and shout out to Harold Fannin for a great debut for the Cleveland Browns. And yeah, let's see what Millie Mills has to say. I literally picked up Fannin this morning, dropped him this evening for my claim on Kraft. Well, yeah, I mean, Kraft, yeah, that's a guy that I'd be all over. He was one of my top guys. I had him as a top 5 tight end headed into this season, and I'm sticking to my guns there. What's up, Joe? Malik Neighbors got it done with Tommy DeVito. T-Mac will be okay. Absolutely. We are a big T-Mac family here at FSAN. Shout out to Joe Frick. All right. I feel bad for Eckler, but guess what? I'm dropping his ass. I need that spot, bro. Yeah, no kidding here. All right, Biggs. Let's talk a little bit about the matchups this weekend and a couple high scoring games. I mentioned there, alluding to Trevor Lawrence and the Bengals. You mentioned, you know, you're still highly optimistic about the Bengals and the matchup this week. Let's talk about another high scoring game potential here. We've got you know, Chiefs and Eagles, but to me, deep down, I think this game could hit the under because of I just don't think the Chiefs are going to match up against how formidable this Eagles team looked in week 1 without needing to even pass the ball at all, and with a banged up Chiefs offense, even though it's in Kansas City and they're going to want revenge from their Super Bowl loss. I just don't think they stack up nearly as well here, and they're going to be playing from behind, and it's just not going to look good without a solid receiving core. I know that you had Hollywood Brown as one of your sits of the week in the forecast. Pacheco was on my radar as a sit as well. So, you know, not much there to call upon. Schultz had Mahomes as a sit of the week. So what's your take on this game? Any sort of upside here? Who's your fantasy play, if you have one at all, in this game outside of the obvious of Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts?
You have to think that AJ Brown is going to make enough noise that they're going to force the ball to him. I don't think that you can go a week like they did against the Cowboys and not get AJ Brown the ball and live to tell about it the next week. I don't think that was a sign of things to come. I think it is an indicator that his volume is actually going to increase. So I would say play AJ Brown. Obviously Saquon. Look for a little Kenneth Gainwell action. If you're in a deep league, Kenneth Gainwell is going to get some targets.
Okay. Kenneth Gainwell. All right. Okay. Doesn't he play for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Are we talking about Tank Bigsby? Maybe?
Oh, no.
Shipley?
No, Shipley's hurt. I did mean Tank Bigsby.
Brain fart here. Yeah. All good. It's late in the evening.
I meant former Eagle Kenneth Gainwell.
He might have some value too after what we saw in Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah.
It's an interesting situation. Now, NFC North battle between the Bears and Lions. The Lions did not look great against this Packer defense that we saw tonight. What's your take on this? Is the bounce back game here for Jared Goff at home? Looking for, what we saw from Jahmyr Gibbs getting 10 targets. What's your take on Goff in this one? Is he a bounce back? I know we were a little bit lower on him headed into the season because of some matchups and stuff like that. But this might be one of the games he has a decent one here at home.
I see a standard 275 2-touchdown performance out of him. I think the Lions win this game easily, but Jared's just going to be average. Bears defense looks well schemed against JJ McCarthy. Granted, that's JJ McCarthy, not Jared Goff, but I think Jared will be okay. But he's not gonna have like a 400-yard, 4-touchdown game.
Yeah. Okay, we got a good question about Jaden Daniels here. Is it me or does it look like sophomore slump for JD5? Not so sure. I mean, when you look at the matchup last week against the Giants, they were toying around with them for most of the game. They didn't really need to perform well. And then when you look at this week, it lined up to be a tough matchup against the Green Bay Packers, in my opinion. And I was like waffling on actually sitting Jaden Daniels in a couple of my leagues when I had him up against Justin Fields. And I kind of wish I had started Justin Fields at this point, but can't really dwell on the past. But I don't think that Jaden Daniels is slumping whatsoever. I think he's getting used to some things around him. The run game has got some changes to it, and the matchups just haven't been conducive for him to be that prolific. So I think the juice is coming. And I think you're going to see a lot more of his rushing upside and him connecting with Terry McLaurin, who, when we think about it, he wasn't in the preseason much at all in training camp. He held out there for waiting for his contract. So, he's shaking off some of that rust. We saw him emerge a little bit tonight, and that connection with Debo is strong. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Jaden Daniels can bring in the latter part of this season, and as of next week, I think there'll be some changes there and some good upside here for Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, in looking at what Jaden Daniels brings to the table, he actually has better weeks when he rushes fewer times, but he's had basically 2 20-point games to start the season. He had 13 points in week 2 last year. He had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of 17 games last year where he was 20 points or fewer. So I don't think that we can read too much into it. They're going to get going. He's got the weapons. They added Debo. He's got basically the same structure as last year. Noah Brown actually looks like he's got some separation to him, and I can see him being a nice little piece, kind of like what De'Ami Brown was last year. So yeah, I'm not worried about Daniels at all. And when you're talking about a sophomore slump, you kind of have to parse out. You're talking about QB5, and the range of outcomes for guys that finish that high, they can finish as low as QB 12, 13 and still have a very good season. Whether that's a slump or not, like we saw, I want to say Stroud was QB5. I want to say his rookie season too. I see Jaden Daniels having a much better season than Stroud did as a sophomore.
All right. Yeah, me too. And got another question here from Frizzil. Would you stash Juwan or Strange? I own Fannin, full PPR. Which one of those two are you higher on, Biggs?
I'm actually higher on Strange, and you have to start with the quarterback play. I have much more faith in Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville offense than I do in Spencer Rattler. Juwan had a big game, but there's also going to come a point where Chris Olave is going to get his, and Rashid Shaheed's going to get his, and Alvin Kamara is going to get his, all from a very limited quarterback. And then when you talk about Brenton Strange, he's basically the third target in this offense, only behind Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter. So there's a lot more upside for Strange than Juwan Johnson.
Yeah, maybe with the scoring upside, but I'm gonna stash straight Jawan here. Honestly, I think that you mentioned all those guys needing to get a piece of the pie. Well, I mean, if you look at this game against the Cardinals, Shaheed had 9 targets, Olave had 13 targets. That's a big piece of the pie, and on top of that, you got Juwan Johnson who had 11 targets. So right in the middle of that, I think that's still sustainable. He was able to get downfield as well. So you're kind of splitting hairs here. I just think that Rattler looked better than I thought he was going to look, and I'm not so high on Trevor Lawrence being able to sustain the type of play there, and I think that Jawan could be emerging. So tough one, but I think both of those are either one of them are worth a stash. Just whether or not you want to buy into Jawan or Strange, and we both give pretty good arguments there. So hopefully we didn't confuse you any more than we already you already are. It's a tough one, right? I mean, Strange was a guy that people were steaming up all off season, and he looked okay. But Trevor, in my opinion, didn't. So I'm going to be looking forward to this Bengals Jaguars matchup quite a bit here. Bigz, how about yourself? Well, what's the game that you're looking at forward to the most outside of the Raiders and Chargers?
I'm kind of interested in the Patriots Dolphins. I want to see if the Patriots' first half success against the Raiders can carry over to shutting down the Dolphins. I'm also interested in seeing if the Dolphins can put together something to, make some noise, prove to us that they're not dead. Bills Jets is another one. It's an in-division game, and it's going to be fun watching Justin Fields try and go against that Bills defense.
Mm-hmm.
And then Seahawks Steelers interconference matchup. And do we see more of the same from Arthur Smith? What is the situation of Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet? Is Clint Kubiak going to be able to unlock Sam Darnold? Like, there's a lot of questions in a lot of these games. So I'm gonna be glued to a lot of football this Sunday. Also, Broncos Colts. Like, is Daniel Jones going to be able to? Was he a one-hit wonder? What's he going to do against a very stout Broncos defense? And Falcons Vikings is always fun. There's a lot of great games.
Yeah, and with the recent news of Brock Purdy going on, some, he's going to miss a couple games here, 2 to 5 games. It sounds like. What's your take on the 49ers and how banged up they are, and where you think, obviously this week they got the Saints, so it should be a winnable game for them. But to me, this all signs point to CMC after what we saw last week, getting quite a bit of heavy workload. But outside of CMC, can you envision Mac Jones being successful? Obviously, he was there earlier in his career as a backup there, where people actually thought that might out at a training camp might have won the job over Brock Purdy, and then he went over to Jacksonville and made Brian Thomas Jr. relevant out of nowhere, right? I mean,
I think you just made a Kenneth Gainwell. Actually, Mac Jones was with the Patriots. He was never with the 49ers. And that was Sam Darnold that was with the 49ers. Sam Darnold and Trey Lance when Brock Purdy won the job.
No, I think Mac Jones has been there before.
I'm pretty sure he hasn't. Right. He was the target. It was
either
the quarterback
way.
That it was the quarterback that
correct. It was
Jacksonville. Yeah. It was the quarterback that Kyle Shanahan wanted, but the GM made the trade to grab Lance. So that's the narrative there.
Maybe that's where the connection was. Yeah.
Yeah, watch Macadamia not go ahead and mess around and have the 49ers with the easiest schedule in the NFL undefeated when Brock Purdy comes back.
There you have it. Bill, that's a bold prediction, and it could happen.
Also, how many underdog Brock Purdy, Juwan Johnson, and George Kittle stacks I had simply because they had the easiest schedule, and then that happens.
Unbelievable. All right, I got a question for you. Okay. And take off the hat, take off the jersey, take off the banners aside, all your homerisms aside. What's your advice for fantasy managers that have Brock Bowers on their team headed into Monday night, 9 p.m. game, the last game on the slate? And there's no Michael Mayer available, or there's no Ty Conklin, or like, what do you do? Are you risking it? Are you rolling the dice on this? Are you confident that Brock Bowers is playing? What is your take on the whole situation there in Las Vegas?
Well, our viewers already have Michael Mayer, first of all. So that's one thing that I made sure to tell everybody last week, to go ahead and handcuff Brock Bowers with Michael Mayer. And I've been saying Michael Mayer's name quite a bit this offseason. Roll with Bowers. He says he's fine. He went through the walkthrough today. Didn't practice, but he went through the walkthrough. So there, it appears as if all their preparation is for him to start. There hasn't been a designation, and that's the good news. So you're gonna be okay. Watch for practice on Friday and Saturday. If he does get out to practice, he's most likely going to play on Monday, and we'll know that by Sunday morning.
Okay. Yeah, that's great advice for our folks. And, especially so earlier on in the week here, still got a lot of practice time to kind of get some ideas of what's going to shake out there. So, yeah, hold right now and wait for more information.
Bowers said that he wanted to go back in the game, but they wouldn't let him. So that indicates that from his self-assessment was that he was fine to go back.
All right, then. All right, so a couple more games to cover before we head out for the evening, and we got some more questions here. How you feel about Matthew Golden? He a drop? Keep him on a bench as a stash?
I wasn't high on Golden during the draft process, and he got a lot of steam based on his draft capital. Didn't really see a lot. He was on the field quite a bit. He had quite a few snaps. But the fact that Savion Williams outworked him, and Dontavian got some more targets, and Dobbs looks good, and it's Tucker Kraft's game. I think you could feel comfortable dropping him. Don't until after week 4.
That's
week
fair.
4 is when you make your big decisions like that, because obviously you probably got him in the middle rounds. See what you can put together otherwise. If by week 4 he's not in the 4 to 6 target a week range, go ahead and cut him loose.
I mean, he may be a guy that, depending on how much draft capital you invested in him too, may even be beyond a week 4 kind of stash, because sometimes these guys, especially rookies, first round rookies, you don't want to kind of give up on them too soon, especially when you think about, them getting a connection with their quarterback. And, Jordan Love on a couple throws tonight just barely missed him on a couple deep routes there. And you get one of those to connect, and next thing you know, he's right on the radar, and he's the waiver wire pickup of the week because of that first round draft capital. So like Big says, hold on to him, wait until at least week 4, and maybe even beyond that if he shows any sort of spark. And you got to think about this Green Bay defense. They're stout right now, and they may not be in too many shootouts, but as the season wears on, maybe injuries start piling up. That might open things up as well, where they're going to need to, rely on the pass game a little bit more. And you never know as the season changes. And when you got first round draft capital, never really want to give up on those guys just yet, especially as a rookie.
Well said, Michael.
Thanks, man. I think you started that segue, and I think we just fed off each other like we always end up doing. It's great. Now, we got a couple more games. Let's talk about them. Okay, you touched base a little bit about the Bills and Jets, and I want to kind of dig a little bit deeper in that one. We saw a 29-point fantasy performance from Justin Fields last week against what people thought was a very, very good Steelers defense. And I think the game just, might have been first week jitters from both ends of the ball. But from what we saw in that offense, they consolidated some targets. A lot of people, like yourself, were really high on Fields, but typically you were really more high on Breece Hall and, Garrett Wilson coming in because of the target consolidation and what could be. But, so you look perplexed there for a second.
When you say I was high on them, do you mean I said all of them would be top 10 at their position?
Yeah, including Mason Taylor. Including Mason Taylor. Yeah.
Just checking that that's what you meant by me being high on them.
Yeah.
Look at what happened in the game on Sunday night. Buffalo and Baltimore. Now, granted, the Jets defense is nowhere close to Baltimore's, but when it comes down to brass tacks, Justin Fields had a QB2 week. Lamar Jackson looked great against Buffalo. Buffalo didn't look like they could stop anybody. So go ahead. Full open field for Justin Fields. We saw what Derrick Henry did. Breece Hall is right there in that action, boss. And then Garrett Wilson is, going to get his 14, 15 targets. Yeah, that'll be a fun one.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and that's why I brought it up. I think that this could has the potential of a shootout, and not so much in the Jets' favor as a shootout as in maybe some garbage time points when the Bills come out pretty strong. Now
let's all light some candles and have a prayer circle for Mason Taylor to be healthy and get his share.
Yeah. He may be
time
more
to break
involved.
out, Mace.
There it is. This is his game. I mean, if there's one that there's there, it's when they're playing from behind and they need to throw the ball. And there's got to be more than 2 targets outside of Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. So I think, the main beneficiary based off of talent and draft capital and pedigree, it's got to be leaning towards Mason Taylor here, right?
Let's go.
Now let's go and move on to the Rams and Titans in a game that is a low scoring game. Couple opportunities for potentially, after a slow start, maybe Calvin Ridley can emerge in another tough matchup. Like, this is a game where that might just be a muck fest, right, Biggs?
Yeah. It was gross. Let's watch Cam Ward grow.
Yeah, and that's the big storyline here. Not an easy feat, his first game of the year going up against the Denver Broncos, which is, the one of the toughest, if not the toughest defense in all of the NFL. So not a great matchup there, and another tough defense here for Cam Ward, and we're going to look at what he has to offer here. So another progression game, and I think after this one, the schedule opens up for them, and I think they'll start coming around. But I think this is another tough one, and I think Cam Ward's going to have to process the game. And the first couple of games, no one was really expecting the Titans to come out and it'd be a firecracker in the league anyway. So I think this type of animosity, no adversity right away is a good thing for him to work through, and maybe by week 3 with a softer matchup, he could be very well on his way to fantasy relevance.
Sure. How about the Rams being 5.5 point favorites on the road?
Yeah, exactly. So it says a lot about how good their defense is as well, right?
Yeah.
And how bad they're up against the wall there, the Titans. So any other games you want to touch base on before we head out for the night there, Biggs? Unless the chat has got any more questions for us.
I'm good. I'd like to see Jackson Dart at some point in the game against the Cowboys. That would be cool. Also, fire up Javonte Williams.
Fire up Javonte Williams. So, do you want to recap your starts and sits maybe before we hit the road from the forecast for the viewers here?
They can watch the show.
There it is. That's a great ticker.
And also tune into Breakfast with Bigz on Sunday morning, 8:30, 11:30.
There it is. Yeah, I think we're ready for the weekend. We're ready for week 2 to, start off a little bit hotter than maybe the Thursday nighter did, hoping for a little bit more points scored, but it is what it is. And we're ready for some big time scoring games. Hopefully they bring some.
We got a question.
Yeah, let's do it. Should I drop Josh Downs for Fields?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Justin Fields is a top, 7 quarterback, if not higher than that when he's playing. So yeah, I'd be doing that for sure. All right. Give us some more. Do you got any more, folks? No. Biggs, you want to ring us
picked
home?
Up Daniel Jones.
Did you watch the waiver wire on the forecast? You must have. Must have heard all about it.
No.
All right.
I did not.
Let's get our call to action there, boss.
Do all the things. Thank you for watching Points After Thursday. We will be back with you next Thursday after the game. Go ahead and go to fantasysportsadvice.com. Watch the Fantasy Forecast. Watch the Dynasty Pulse. Watch Breakfast with Bigz. Watch all those things. Follow us on Twitter and subscribe to fantasysportsadvice.com and buy our merch.
Absolutely. And we got a couple. Yeah, I got a discount code Pulse15 for 15% off, or Forecast 15 for 15% off our merch shop, representing both our shows that we are on now. Let's go. Not a bad backup there for Jaden Daniels, and had I gone with my gut, I would have had Daniels on my bench this week, but you know what? I did not.
He got 20 points.
I know. I'm
you want
sorry.
35, but 20 points is not terrible.
Exactly. All right. From all of us on the Fantasy Sports Advice Network and PAT, we will see you next week after the Thursday nighter. As always, keep the chat going. We love hearing the questions in the chat and getting your Q&As answered. So believe us, we appreciate you all. Have a great weekend, and we hope you win, Biggs.
We hope you win, Biggs.
Peace out.
We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited access. Again, go to FantasySportsAdvice.com.